Hi everyone. Today I will walk you through my setup of retro gaming consoles and my CRT monitors. So when I began setting this up a couple of years ago, my initial plan was to gather all my consoles in a functional setup where I can easily access them by just the press of a button, not try to change cables or things like that. So when I began my research, I first looked into a SCART switcher, which have become really popular among the retro gaming community. There are various different SCART switch solutions out there. The majority of them are quite expensive because they are catering to a niche market. So that wasn't an option. So I started digging even more, and I finally found a solution which allows me to hook up all my consoles. I can easily access the audio output, and it also have a much higher quality than many of the SCART switch options. So yeah, let's begin. So I have my Sony BVMs. As you can see here, I have two BVM20 F1E models. In the middle you have the BVM D24, which is a 16:9 BVM monitor. The two 4:3 monitors, the 20 F1Es, they accept 240p and 480i, while the Sony D24 accepts 240p up to 1080i. So it allows me to access everything from 240p, 480p, 720p, and even 1080i. And over there, further in the back, is that giant beast of a monitor. That one I will come back to in a short while. That one is a thing of its own. So, but I'll begin with the solution I've chosen for the consoles. Yeah, I'm recording this with a simple iPhone, so bear with me. The quality is maybe not the best. So as you can see here, the Crosspoint Ultra Series switch from the Extron brand. It's an American brand which mainly caters to broadcast companies and similar. So here I've connected everything from my Mister to my Saturns, my PlayStation, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, PC Engine, Sega Master System, and here's my Capcom, my consoleized Capcom CPS2 system. I will show you that in a short while. I've also hooked up my HD Fury 3 cable, which allows me to hook up HDMI signal to this switch, so I can connect my PS3, my Xbox 360, and consoles which have HDMI output. I have my Wii hooked up and my Dreamcast. So let's begin by choosing a console. If I want to, for instance, play Super Nintendo, and I want it to output to one of the two monitors, I can just push video, and I push the Super Nintendo button, and I can choose the monitor here. So I get the Super Nintendo output to the BVM monitor over there. I haven't chosen audio. So for instance, I want to choose audio to output the audio from the Super Nintendo. Just push the Super Nintendo and I will get audio from the Super Nintendo. So yeah, you hear the audio there. So let's say I want to output my Mega Drive to the monitor over there. Just press video, Mega Drive, and so I get the Mega Drive over there. Same with audio. I can choose to switch the audio from the Mega Drive. So I get the audio from the Mega Drive. Oh, this is a really good song. Let's turn up the volume. So I get the... Yeah. I can also choose to output one of the consoles to both or all three monitors. So for instance, I want it to output the image from the Mega Drive to both this one and that. So now I have, as you can see, so let me walk you through the consoles. So I have here a Japanese model 1000 PS1. This is actually the launch model in Japan, which was released in December of 1994. Nothing much spectacular here. One difference is that this launch model in Japan actually had S-video output, which none of the other models had, which were released in the West, or in Japan for that matter. So yeah, my PlayStation 1. Here we have my Hitachi High Saturn. The High Saturn was actually manufactured by Hitachi. As you can see, it says Hitachi over there. This was only released in Japan. This very model of Saturn actually came with a video card. So this one allows you to play video CDs, and for those of you who are not familiar with the VCD format, it was actually a quite popular media format in Asia, especially in Hong Kong and India and Vietnam and a couple of other Asian countries. So over there in the back I have a normal Japanese Saturn. Don't ask me why I have two different Saturns, but the thing is I actually didn't have any Saturn back in the 90s, so I'm trying to make up for it now by having two different Saturns. On this side I have a Japanese Nintendo 64. This one has been RGB modded, and the thing you see here in the front, the dongle, is actually a wireless dongle which allows me to hook up any Bluetooth controller. And I should also mention that that has also been one of my ambitions with this setup, to try to make as many of the consoles wireless. Next to it I have my, this is actually a PAL GameCube with a Japanese Game Boy player, as you can see in the bottom. This specific indigo colored Game Boy player was only released in Japan for some reason, I don't know why. But yeah, it matches up very well with the indigo GameCube. So down here we have my Japanese Model 1 Mega Drive. As you can see, I'm also using Bluetooth dongles for the controllers. This one has also been RGB modded. In the back I have a couple of other PVMs, smaller ones, which I don't use at the moment. Next to the Mega Drive, I have my Japanese Super Famicom. This one is a one-chip model, RGB modded. So I can get the best possible picture from that one. And next to it is my Japanese AV Famicom. This one is also RGB modded. I actually bought this brand new in Tokyo a couple of years ago. So yeah, I need to find those wireless dongles for this console as well. Next to it is a PC Engine Duo, which accepts both U-cards and CDs. This one is also RGB modded. And the large yellow thing you see on the right here is actually a consoleized Capcom CPS2 player. I bought this from a guy on eBay a couple of years ago. He made them himself. These were actually boards which you inserted into an arcade cabinet. This one has been consoleized, so you can hook it up to your TV. He came with an option to either use RGB out or HDMI. Since my almost my entire setup is analog, so I asked for an RGB output. Yeah, so these large massive cartridges are actually individual games for the CPS2. This specific one is Alien vs Predator, probably one of the best arcade games ever made. You may be asking, how do I play it? You see in the front here are two DB15 outputs, so you can basically either mod any controller of your choice, or either you can connect Neo Geo arcade sticks. They also use this specific connector. So that's how I use this thing. I use Neo Geo arcade sticks for this one. It's a really cool thing. Next to it is a normal basic Xbox 360. Nothing spectacular with this model. The Master System next to it is actually a unique one. This is a Japanese Master System which was only released in Japan. This is a later model which actually includes both the audio, the FM audio plug-in, as well as the plug-in for the 3D glasses. I actually own the 3D glasses for this Master System. But yeah, if you go out on eBay today and look for the FM sound module for the Sega Mark, you'll see that they are very expensive. But this specific model actually came with that FM sound in the console, so it's quite cool. In the back there is actually a console which I haven't hooked up yet. It is a NEC PC-FX. Too bad it only accepts S-Video, so I need to find a solution to connect it to my current setup. It was a flop, but it's cool to have one. Yeah, I also have PlayStation TV, or Vita TV as it was called in Japan. It's basically a consoleized Vita, Sony Vita. It's a really cool system. Next to it I have my Mister. I love my Mister, it's a great system, so yeah. It's probably one of the best things you can have in your setup, so if you don't have any Mister, just go out and get one. Up here I have a Sony PlayStation 3. Next to it is another one. One of them is actually modded, soft modded, so I can access homebrew and stuff like that. Over there is my Dreamcast. I haven't hooked it up yet, but I plan to get a couple of component cables and hook up, and yeah. So Dreamcast is currently waiting to be accessed. I also have a Nintendo Wii, great system. This one is soft modded, and it allows me to use unique features such as improving the image of the console, which is actually quite blurry if you think about it. It only outputs 480p, but if you didn't know this, but the 480p output of the Nintendo Wii is actually worse than the one on GameCube. I also have this original Xbox, but I haven't hooked it up, so maybe I'll do that in the future. Yeah, so this is the Hitachi High Saturn playing a VCD movie. This is a really generic movie which was included with one of my Japanese games. This is a racing game. I think it's Wangan. I think it's called Wangan. So yeah, as you can see, with the VCD card, it allows the Saturn to output full screen, full motion video. It's quite cool. Not DVD quality, obviously, but still quite good. The Saturn could never output this kind of full screen videos without this video card. So let's try the Vita TV. I'll switch the audio. Yeah, so it's quite amazing that this actually is a handheld system in a consoleized version. It also allows me to play PSP games. So I have a couple of PSP games, Wipeout for instance, Ridge Racer, BlazBlue, and Patapon, and quite a couple of other PSP games. And I have a bunch of Vita games. Let's try Ridge Racer on Vita. So this is Ridge Racer on Vita, outputting to Sony BVM D24. The cool thing about the Vita TV is that if you mod it, you can actually make the touchpad of the PS4 work on the screen over there. This was a feature which Sony never included on the Vita TV, which is baffling if you ask me. But the homebrew community actually developed an app which allows you to handle the touchpad of the DualShock as a touch screen on the Vita. That's quite cool. And this also allows you to play games which Sony blacklisted on the Vita TV. So for instance, I'm pretty sure that Ridge Racer was one of those games which Sony never included in the games which you actually could play. But yeah, with a modded Vita TV, it allows you to play every game which was released on Vita. You can see I'm just using the touchpad. Yes, you can choose the car here. Ready. So yeah, it's amazing the level of graphics which you get. Oh yeah, by the way, I can also toggle this this function. So I don't need to use the touch pointer in every game. So I can just, if I want to turn it off, I just turn it off over there. So now I don't need to use the touch point. It's difficult to drive with one hand, but yeah, you get the idea. This is the level of graphics you get by hooking up a Vita TV to a Sony BVM D24. And to be honest, I would say this is a console which sits perfectly between PS3 and PS4. There are quite a lot of unique games released for the Vita. It's a shame that Sony killed it off way too early in its lifetime. Yeah, so that's my setup, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, please leave them in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe. You don't have to, but it will be cool. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.